Alright, so welcome. This is my Q&A video that I said I would do. Just to give you some backstory, my name is Jo. I'm currently 39 years old. I live in Chicago, and I just had adult strabismus surgery for the third time. And when I was preparing to have the surgery, I went out on the internet and just wanted to read about other people's experiences, because even though I had experienced it before, I think it's always nice to get new perspectives, but there wasn't a lot out there. So I wanted to create this video just to kind of be a resource for people, and hopefully, answer some questions that you might have for somebody who is, maybe a little nervous about, asking a doctor these things. I just wanted to create this. It's very low budget, as you can tell, so my apologies in advance, but I'm not trying to be a famous YouTuber. I literally just wanted to share information about my experience with others out there. So I had the surgery. Tomorrow will be a week, so 6 days ago. And the day after my surgery, I posted on the Strabismus subreddit, which I'll link in the description, and asked for questions. Since this was my third time going through the surgery, I just felt I could probably answer some things for people. And there's a lot of people in that subreddit asking really basic questions. So I just wanted to kind of share what information I could. So I had people post questions in that thread. Some people posted in the thread. Some people messaged them to me. So I just wanted to share them here in hopes that it will help someone. Before I jump into this, a quick disclaimer. I'm not a medical professional. This is not medical advice. I am simply talking about my own experiences, my own opinions, etc. Don't take anything I say as the final word in anything, because every patient is going to be different. So I did try to put these in an order that made sense, and I also condensed similar questions so I'm not repetitive, but apologies in advance if I am repetitive. All right, first question. What age did you have surgery as a kid, and for what kind of strabismus? So I was about 4 or 5 years old the first time I had the surgery, and at that time my eye was turning in. But fun fact, I went my entire life thinking that my eye had always turned out, until I had my consultation with my current surgeon, who mentioned oh, it would be unusual for a child to have an eye turning out. And then he looked at my eye and there was scarring on the side. So he was right, I was wrong, and my eye turned in. I learned something new about myself at the young age of 39. Question 2. I'm not going to number these questions, sorry. All right. Have you tried a prism in your glasses? I think I had one when I was younger, because I remember talking about it. I remember being at the eye doctor with my mom and talking about it, but I can't remember, all the details for sure, if I had it or if it was just a discussion about it. I definitely have not had one as an adult, though. Did you ever patch your eye? So when I was a kid, I vaguely remember having a patch on, but I think that might be the memory of the surgery that I had. So I don't think I had a patch, in the sense that I guess one of the options you can do these days is patch an eye. I don't think I ever did that. But I don't have anybody to ask because both my parents have passed away over 10 years ago. So there's nobody to ask to find out for sure, but I'm going to go with no on that answer. Probably not. So, did you attempt vision therapy? I did not do vision therapy, though I do remember asking my last surgeon if there was anything I could do, and he showed me that pencil exercise that you can do. I don't doubt that vision therapy works for some people, but I felt like surgery was the best route for me, so I didn't even really do that much research into it, to be honest. So I don't feel like I can really speak to any of it. Maybe that was to my own detriment. Maybe it would have worked, but too late now. But I would just encourage you to talk about it with, your ophthalmologist, to kind of explore that further and see if you want to try that before surgery, or maybe a combination of the two, or instead of surgery. You can talk about all your options with your ophthalmologist, not with me, some random internet stranger. Is there a cause that triggered your eyes to require surgery? So not a physiological one, other than it turning out. I wasn't in an accident or anything like that. It just, turned out over time as I got older. The thing that caused me to look into it again was self-confidence. I think there is a psychological factor in this, that some people are really easy to dismiss, but it's real. You know, it's not about being vain. Like, this is something that's on your face all the time, and it's usually fixable. At the time, I was a director in my job, so I was like a manager, and I would be in meetings with, you know, higher ups and all that fun stuff. And I could tell sometimes people weren't sure where to look. And, you know, I would do the tricks of, you know, kind of tilting your head so they look like they're looking in the right direction. So it was a professional confidence thing for me. I think that was really the driving force behind me getting it this time around. And, you know, being honest, personal confidence as well. I'm still a single woman. When I am ready to get out there and date again, you know, I think I'll feel more confident meeting men and not feeling self-conscious about it. I am also 3 days away from turning 40. And I have to say, it's really nice to be entering like a new decade of life without feeling so insecure about this. So there's that. Why did you have to get multiple, or why did you need to get so many surgeries? So the first one I had when I was 4 or 5 years old, I didn't really get a say in that process, obviously, because I was a child. When I was 25 years old, in hindsight, I didn't choose a surgeon wisely. I just kind of picked somebody randomly, and I got this last one because it needed to be corrected again. And I think it's a combination of getting older, shitty genetics, and it's also, you know, medical advances too. The first surgery I had was in, you know, the early 80s. Things have changed since then. So there's a lot of different things you can do now. Like, you know, I'll talk more later about what they did during my surgery, but that definitely didn't happen when I was a child. So there's new treatments out there. There's new things to consider. There's research being done. You know, science is always changing. So, and looking through the subreddit, I think it's very common to have had it more than once. So, did your eye just not straighten, or did it move in another direction? So it was, after surgery, it was always straight initially, and then over the years it would just, you know, turn out again. How bad is your eye turn? So I don't know like the number of degrees or the number of millimeters, or however they measure that. So I don't have like an exact number, but it wasn't terrible. It was definitely worse when I was tired or if I'd been drinking. About 2 weeks before my surgery, I had a really bad night of insomnia, and I got like a really great photo of what it looks like at its worst, and I'll drop that into the video here. That was a really well-timed reminder from my body that it can be really, really bad at times. So thanks, body. And it really just confirmed I was making the right choice, and, you know, I should have the surgery and all that. So, do you have double vision? I do have double vision. My eyesight's a bit complicated because I don't really use my bad eye to see, and that might sound weird to some people. So I do see double, but my brain kind of shuts it off, if that makes sense. It's hard to articulate to people because it's like my brain can't even process exactly what's happening. So I always find it just really hard to kind of put into words for people when I talk about it. But I do have double vision. I also have a lot of problems with depth perception. I'm constantly running into doorways on my right-hand side. I'm shocked I don't constantly have bruises down this arm. I joke I could never live in London because I drive on the right-hand side of the road over there, and that wouldn't end well for me. So, do you know what your vision is in your bad eye? I don't, but I do know it is actually better than my good eye. But again, the problem is my brain doesn't use this eye to see. Eye exams have always sucked. I hate getting my eyes examined. My bad eye tires out really quickly, so when they have you read the lines, I can usually get through one, but as you know, they have you move down, and then I might be able to get through two, and my eye's done. And I always get very frustrated during eye exams. It's always been a super frustrating day for me. It's my least favorite day of the year when I have to go do that. What kind of tests did he run? So I'm going to preface this with, I was really sick, like really, really sick the day of my consultation with him. I'd been sick. I was on like day 4 of being just really, really ill, and I wasn't really with it. And so some things about the appointment are kind of fuzzy. Like, I don't remember at all like the questions I asked him during that appointment. So, but they did do like kind of all sorts of different things just to see how far off my eye was. And so they did that thing with just like a long prism, and they would move it up and down and then cover one eye to see like how your eyes had to correct themselves, I guess. I don't really know what they're looking for, to be honest. They also had me look through this thing, and this is the one that's kind of fuzzier, but I just remember there was some sort of like line, and there was like a red laser or a red dot or something, and they had me trying to figure out where it was in relation to the line, like, is it on the right hand side, is it on the left hand side, did it move further away, did it get closer, is it above, is it below? My memories about that test are fuzzy just because I'd never had that one done before, and because I was just so out of it that day, I don't remember all the details. So yeah, I was really sick that day. It wasn't a good week. Did you feel anything during surgery? Hell no. You will be completely put under. You're going to be talking, and then the next thing you know, you're going to be done with the surgery. Like, it's that, it happens like that. The worst pain I had was immediately after I woke up, and then they were like, what's your pain on a scale of 1 to 10? And I gave them a number, and then she gave me more medicine. So it was the worst right when I woke up, and it really just got better every single day. But it wasn't even really like pain. It could best be described as like being uncomfortable or achy. This might be a TMI thing for guys, so I'm sorry, maybe plug your ears for about 30 seconds. It might be a TMI thing for women too. I actually started my period the same day as my surgery because I have the best luck ever, obviously. But my cramps hurt worse than my eye did, if that helps kind of put things into perspective for you. Unless you're somebody who has really, really terrible cramps, and for that I'm sorry. But so yeah, there were things happening in my body that were worse than my eye. So the eye was a cakewalk at that point. My daughter is 2 years old, so she won't have much of an idea of what's happening. Good. Was the pain unbearable? Not at all. Again, the worst pain I had was right after I woke up. It's really just improved every single day, since then. And I would also recommend keeping in mind that kids don't often know the difference between pain and something that's achy or uncomfortable. New sensations are scary, right? So they might cry simply because it's new to them and it's scary. I'm not a parent, I don't have children, and I'm not a doctor, so I might be getting it totally wrong. Feel free to disregard that. But as somebody who's been a child, but you know your child better than anybody else, so yeah. What kinds of things would make her more comfortable afterwards? So the first thing is hydrate. I'm a big believer in being properly hydrated. It solves a lot of issues, or it does for me anyway. So definitely drink lots of water in the days leading up to it. The day of this, well, you'll have to stop drinking water at some point, the day of the surgery. But, after the surgery, continue drinking a lot of water. Keeping your head elevated those first couple nights. I think my post-op instructions said 30 degrees. I just propped like 2 big pillows underneath me, and I actually ended up sleeping on my couch so I wouldn't accidentally roll over in the middle of the night. Another thing that would help is like a warm washcloth. You're going to have lots of goo and crusty, colorful stuff coming out of your eye. It's super sexy. So like a warm washcloth to kind of gently like wipe all that. I also got an ice pack. I was at Target and they had this ice pack. It's a kid's ice pack, but I bought it because I don't care. It's cute. And it was the perfect size to go over my eye. It was like $2, so maybe they've got them at your store. And it's also one of those packs that's like cold or hot, so that's cool. So it has multiple uses. It's very cute. But I will say sometimes I didn't even want the ice pack directly over my eye. That actually hurt more sometimes, so I would like just want it like right next to my eye and like around that bone, and this has a nice little curve that facilitated that very nicely. So best $2 I spent before my surgery. Definitely another thing that helped, definitely sunglasses, especially when you first leave the hospital. If it's a sunny day, I have the worst damn luck with eye stuff. Like, it's always the sunniest day of the year. I would say keep any room that you're in kind of dark. I was patting myself on the back because when I bought my place, I put a dimmer switch on my living room lights, and that was the best decision ever because it was really nice to be able to turn down my lights, that first day or two. It did get better as the days went on, so I was, eventually able to tolerate that light again. But it was really, really, really nice. Just like the night I came home from the hospital, I literally just laid on my couch in a dark room with my eyes closed. It was all I wanted to do. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to watch TV. I didn't want to listen to anything. I just wanted to lay in the dark. So I would have a dark room at the ready. Another thing to keep in mind is you're most likely going to have eye drops after. I'm 39 years old and I still don't like things going to my eye, like eye drops or anything. If you've ever seen that episode of Friends where they literally have to pin Rachel down on the floor to put eye drops in her eye, when that episode aired, I'd never identified with anything so much in my life. So if you have a child who also does not like things going into their eye, I would think ahead and think of ways to make that fun, or prepare them ahead of time. Get some Visine or something. I don't know. Talk to your doctor, see what you can do to make that process better. But, kind of think of ways to make it more fun. Like maybe there's special drops that give you superpower, or I don't know, but something that would entice them into thinking like, you know what, eye drops aren't so bad, because they still suck. I don't like them. Yeah. How long is recovery time? So I am actually on day 6, and so far so good. I drove for the first time today, and it's sunny outside, because of course it is. And I will say my eyes are still sensitive to light. I'm more sensitive to light than I normally am, but it's better than it was, if that makes sense. I'm optimistic that it will continue to get better as everything heals. I'm actually really not even in that much pain anymore. Sometimes if I move my eye too fast, if I look in a certain direction, it'll hurt. It's been kind of achy around my eye the last couple days. It's better today. And then today my eye's just been burning off and on, but I'm not worried. I figure it's like when you cut your hand and it starts to get itchy as it's healing. I figure it's something similar, and if not, well, that's gonna suck. Other than what it looks like right now, which I will not put my face close and I will not show you because it's super gross on this side of my eye. But other than what it looks like right now, like, you would never know that I had surgery. Everything's pretty much back to normal. My vision is still fuzzy, though. I will say that it does get blurry off and on at times. How long did you have a headache for after surgery? I didn't even get one until a few days in, and even then it was more just like an achy feeling, like right above my eye. So it wasn't bad at all. Again, every single person's different, but I had a very, very, very minor headache, and I took Advil, and it was great. How long were you sensitive to light for? I think I've already talked about this in other answers, but I'm pretty sensitive to light on a normal day, like in my office at work. Remember those places that we went every day? In my office at work, I can't use like the standard like overhead lights. They hurt my eyes. I just can't. I hate them. So I actually have like a bunch of lamps in my office instead of using those bright white awful overhead lights. But yeah, it was worse than normal for like a day or two, and it's just gotten better from there on out. I was able to start tolerating like normal room lighting within like a day or two. So it was really only that first day that was bad, and I just wanted to sit in a dark room by myself. That sounds depressing. It wasn't. Do you feel like the quality of your vision changed after surgery? I think it's too early to tell. This eye is completely unaffected. This eye is still getting blurry or fuzzy off and on, for no rhyme or reason. I can't figure out what makes it do that. My doctor was also really honest with me and said that he couldn't guarantee that my eyes would start working together again. So my expectations on that aspect were low. But again, I think it's probably a little too early to tell. Did you have surgery on one or both eyes? Just one. So we actually went into surgery with kind of like the 2 or 3 options on the table. One of those options was operating on both eyes. So I gave permission for it. I signed a consent form for it, but it was understood that it was a last resort because I didn't want to mess with my good eye. But when he got in there, he only needed to operate on one. So yay. I do want to talk about the technique he used here because it was new to me. Maybe if you're already out there doing research, you've read about this, but if you haven't, so he used adjustable sutures for my surgery. So I essentially walked out of the hospital that day with an unfinished surgery and sutures hanging out of my eye and taped down to my face. Well, and I had an eye patch covering it. It wasn't just there weren't strings blowing in the wind or anything like that. So, and then I went back first thing the next morning, and he did the final adjustments while I was wide awake. And that was probably the most nerve-wracking part of this for me, just because I didn't know what to expect, and the idea of being awake. Like, I've only gotten regular stitches or sutures one time in my life, and I just remember they were painful being taken out. So I had that in my mind for this. But they do give you numbing drops, so you don't really feel it. You know, there's some like pressure and kind of like there wasn't pain. I'll just say that there wasn't any pain. It was mostly just like you could feel pressure of what was happening. There were only 2 times that I really like clenched my fists, like this hurts, or this doesn't feel great. But other than that, it was totally fine. Did you stick with your first doctor or surgeon, or did you see several until you found one you were comfortable with? And if you did they give any different? If you did they give any different diagnoses? So I did research before even making appointments. I didn't want to waste time going to a bunch of different doctors. I just that's a bad way to put it. I personally didn't want to spend a lot of time seeing a bunch of doctors, so I tried to do research on the front end, so I didn't really have to do that. When I had it done when I was 25 years old, I didn't really do any research at all. I just picked somebody randomly, like, oh, that's a surgeon, he does adult strabismus, cool, sign me up. In hindsight, I don't think that was the best decision. When I was in my early 30s, I had to learn the hard way how to advocate for myself as a patient, so I learned how to look for doctors. So I just researched surgeons in my city for a bit before coming across his profile, and there's little videos on their profile pages on the website. And watching that video, I knew right away that he was my guy, because there's things that he mentioned in that video that really resonated with me, things that I've always felt but nobody's ever verbalized to me. Like, I've never had a doctor talk about, using one eye to see or covering one eye, and those were things that he talked about in his video, and I was like, this is my guy. So, and also the types of tests they did during that first appointment made me think that they were really looking at things versus just putting me under and fixing my eye. So I ended up being really happy with my choice. I waited a year for the surgery with him, but it was worth the wait. So, how did you overcome the fear of getting the procedure done? So for me, the benefits of having it done really outweighed the fears. I would rather go through a few days of discomfort to fix something that is always on my face, that people see every day and impacts my confidence. And I was also very confident in my surgeon, which I think is key as well. There's risks with everything, of course, but I never once doubted his ability to do the surgery. I was actually more worried about the risks of going under general anesthesia than I was about my actual surgery. And I think it also helped that, I've had it twice before, and I knew it wasn't a difficult surgery. It hadn't been a traumatic experience or anything like that. So I kind of knew what I was getting myself into. I'm a very anxious person, I get it, but this was totally fine. So I was wondering if the doctor mentioned anything about age-related issues that should be occurring, like presbyopia, and how that would affect the results. Also, are you farsighted or nearsighted? I am nearsighted. I always have been. I had to Google presbyopia, and please believe I have it phonetically spelled out in front of me, so I didn't sound like a moron. He didn't mention any age-related issues, so my answer to that is no, and thank you for helping me learn a new word. Quite frankly, a little farsightedness would be welcome, but the grass is always greener, right? Do you wear contacts or glasses? So I wear glasses, as you can see. I've never worn contacts. I don't put things in my eye, except scalpels, apparently. I've thought about LASIK, but I didn't do it. The time when I kind of got pseudo serious about it, my eye had started turning out again, and I kind of felt like my glasses were a security blanket. So now that it's fixed, maybe I'll look into it again, but I've also never not worn glasses, so I think it would be weird. Will you need the surgery again? I hope not. I did ask my surgeon during my pre-op appointment, like, what are the odds that I'll have to go through this again? And he said they were like 10%. Again, everybody's different. But for my case, he said about 10%. So I like those odds. I'm hoping the third time is a charm. So, who did your surgery? So I may edit this out later because I want to have his permission before I put his name in a video. So I emailed him to ask him permission to use his name in the video. He probably thinks I'm a giant weirdo, but he's not wrong. I am. It's fine. So if you hear his name, that means he gave me permission. But my surgeon's name is Dr. Nicholas Volpe. He is a neuro-ophthalmologist here in Chicago. He is the chair of the ophthalmology department at Northwestern Medicine, which is the medicine arm of Northwestern University. And if you live in the United States, I'm sure you've heard of Northwestern University, and you know that that's a good school. So he's super nice. There was a long wait to get in to see him. I waited 6 months for an appointment, and then another 6 months for, or 5.5 months for my surgery. So the entire process took about a year, but he juggles a lot. You know, he's the head of a department, he teaches, he's a surgeon, he's, I don't know, underwater basket weaver, I don't know. I work in academia, so I understand what some of those titles mean and how much work that is. So I'm understanding of how long the wait is, I guess you could say. He was worth the wait, though. I will say that. I don't want to discourage anybody if you happen to live in Chicago and you're considering him. I don't want to discourage you. I just want to be transparent about how long it took. You know, I'll be honest, it sucked. You know, when I finally had the courage to make that phone call to make the appointment, and it sucked to hear, well, the first appointment's in January. It was a bummer, but in hindsight, the timing was perfect due to some personal and professional things happening in my life. So it couldn't have worked out any better. That was the last question. So thank you for all those questions. Those were good questions. My final thoughts, not that anybody asked for it, but you're watching my video, so too bad. I would say if you're considering it, just take that first step and make an appointment to discuss it. The first appointment is a consultation, and if you walk out of there and you're not comfortable with the doctor you met, if you're not comfortable with the idea of surgery, then walk away. You know, the only thing you're out at that point is the time you spent and, you know, your copay and maybe paying for parking or something like that. A consultation is just that, a consultation. You're not obligated to have surgery by simply going to a consultation. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. If you meet a doctor who is pressuring you into having the surgery, that would be a red flag for me, but everybody's different. I would personally run in the other direction. So just saying. Also keep in mind, and I know this is easier said than done, and I don't want to tell anybody how to feel, but don't be afraid to ask questions during your appointment. You know, they do this all day. This isn't new to them, and I'm sure it would be rare that you ask them something they'd never heard before. So as easy it is for me to sit here and say, like, don't be embarrassed, don't be shy, ask them anything. Just keep in mind doctors are human, and this is what they do all day long. This is their specialty. And so if there's any place to ask questions, in the doctor's office is the place to do it. So keep that in mind as well when you go for that appointment. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. If you have any more questions, I can't possibly think of what I didn't answer. I've been talking so long. But if you do think of any more questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them. I hope this was helpful. If you're somebody who's thinking about getting adult strabismus surgery, I hope that this contains some good nuggets of information for you. And again, I just want to make the disclaimer, this was purely my opinion. This was not medical advice. I'm not a doctor. Everybody is different. It might be a different experience for you. So just wanted to say that one last time. I did make a few other videos on kind of like the entire process. So if you're super bored and have nothing better to do, feel free to watch those if you want to see the entire process that I went through. So thank you for watching, and have a great day.